Looks like we're live, everybody.
What?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah,
Okay.
I went by
Patrick?
Fred in when I was in before that I always went by Fred, And then
Right.
I got to college and then um we had these lanyards, right?
Yeah.
And it had my full name on it, which I didn't want. And it's like I worked in the student center, so it's like they'd come in and ask for directions, where to go, blah blah blah. And all the the lovely young ladies would be like, "Oh, thank you. Oh my God, is your name Frederick?" And I'd say, "Well, yes, it is." Yeah. "Oh my God, that's a great name. I love that name. Do you go by that?" I said,
I do now.
Now I
"Yes,
do.
I do." So that's why I started doing Frederick. Otherwise, I'd be Fred.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well,
Uh,
if you got it, I got it honest. I might as well go with it." You
I,
know
Nice.
as the only woman on this thread, I far prefer Frederick to Fred as well. So
that
I,
that has been I'm gonna say anecdotally 100% of
yes,
the woman consensus worldwide.
yes,
Like it's always Frederick, never Fred. Yeah,
I like it. And Lawrence, I won't speak your nickname, but he had a nickname all growing up and changed in college. And
I mean, we're all Gen X. We all saw Saturday Night Live, Larry the Lobster. Like, can you imagine what it was like being in middle school when Larry the Lobster came out?
oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
Larry the Lobster.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm Lawrence now. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mom.
right.
I didn't get I didn't get a nickname until I went into the Marine Corps. Funny enough, I mean I played basketball, all that, never got a nickname. I got a nickname in the Marine Corps, and it was every nickname I've had has been a variation of Big Something.
Oh,
So in the Marine Corps, it was Big Nasty for a lot of obvious reasons I won't get into. Um, and then when I got into aviation, it actually became Big Country. And I didn't
ooh,
get that nickname until I started working at DCA in Maryland. And there were some fellas that were from Maryland. And one day we were in the bag room and they just announced to me, "What, man, we don't want to call you Frederick." I said, "Okay. Well, what do you want to call me?" And they said, "We're going to call you Big Country." I said, "Brother, if you actually knew anything, I'm like the least country person out of East Tennessee you're going to meet." You know, I was like, "I may have the accent at times, but I ain't country, man. Not like some boys I know back in the holler, you
Yeah.
know."
I
And they're
ain't
like,
country man is about
"Right."
the most country thing I've heard someone say in a long time, though. To be
So
fair.
they go, so they go like they say, "Well, you the most country dude we've ever met. So you
Right.
big country."
Oh
So Big
gosh.
Country actually stuck all the way into Philly and even in Detroit when I worked for AA. And then I got to LAX and one day I was coming into work and you know how they have these big obnoxious coffee cups
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
could get. They're real skinny and they're like, so I got the large one because I was like, I was having a rough day, man. And the funny thing, it wasn't a handle. It was the thing you get, it was the with the styrofoam lid and all that stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was
So the
coming into work,
Speedway.
man, and you know, a guy Victorino, he stops me in the hall, and I was carrying it by the bottom. So it's like here I'm carrying it by the bottom, and it's like sticking up this high.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he looks at me like, "It's a big coffee there, man." And I said, "Well, I got big things going on, baby. I need big coffee." You know. And so he goes, "I got you big coffee." And then from then on, it was big coffee.
Oh well.
So,
Hey, there's worse things, right?
right? So it's like my nicknames have always been Big Something.
Right. I saw in one of your stories that you're like 6'5", right?
I am
I
6'5".
I cannot tell that on video. And I was like,
No.
oh wow, okay. That is
Yeah.
big.
I
No one's
take
ever
up a
called me big anything, I don't think.
yeah, I take
Hey,
up
no, come
a
on
whole
now.
lot of space,
Not to
you
my face.
know. Yeah, I take up a whole lot of space. That's why it's like, I'm very space conscious. You know what I mean?
I
So
I vibe with that a lot. I mean, you can't tell on video, but I'm a big boy as well. I'm not as tall as you, but I've got some
yeah.
girth.
I mean, it's
And
the same thing. If I lean back, it's like you'll see it,
yeah,
And so it's yeah, man. It's like I take up space, so I got to be very conscious about that.
Big
It's one.
thing.
It's yeah, for sure. But big things, there it is, baby.
Yeah.
well, that's why God graced you with eloquence, right? Because you can talk your way out of
Yeah, you have
or
to. I
into it.
mean, at a certain because I came up, man, when I was coming up. For those of y'all who went out in the nightclub, and inevitably, when I actually was head of security in a place called the Electric Cowboy when they opened up in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Wow.
All
So
right.
so
We're
I
learning all
worked.
kinds of things already.
Yeah, so I worked security in nightclub,
Mhm.
and and it was in this old grocery store, right? So they had all, it was back when they had the before they had this one didn't have the automatic doors, but it had all the where you lock them with the Allen wrench and you could push to go out with the push bar.
Yeah.
And so the nice thing about that was you push it out, it closes, it locks back in. And so we used to trick guys and get them outside, right? Well, so you inevitably run into some dude who wants to throw down, and you know, we'd look at him and be like, we'd goad him like, all right, man, let's go outside. Let's do it. Come on, man. Come on. So we'd stomp on out to the front, and
Yeah.
I'd open the door and be like, after you. And then they walk out and they're like, come on, buddy. I was like, have a nice night, sir. Shut the door. I was like, man, I ain't trying to get in that trouble. No, but yeah, I mean, even when I would go to the clubs, like just hanging out, inevitably there's always some dude who's about 5'4", maybe 110 pounds, and he ain't having a good night, and he got that liquid courage up, and you can tell he's just giving you that,
Right.
you
He's
know,
determined you are the final boss in
that's
whatever
it.
he's dealing with in
He gonna
that night.
skip past everybody, and it's like,
Yeah.
and you know, and the thing was, I was in the Marine Reserve, so I hung, and I actually have an article queued up for this, where, and I'll just share it with the folks here. So I had a guy, former active duty, was in my reserve unit. His name was Sergeant Blitnikoff, and we called him Sergeant B or Sergeant Blitz, and he was just kind of out of his mind, right?
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'll give you a Marine story, like just real quick. So we're on the firing line, we're doing mortars, right? And he's wearing his flak and his helmet, you know, and he's standing up on the berm. And when you fire mortars, you can hear by the thump of whether it's a good round or the bad round, like the firing pin works or doesn't work.
Hmm.
And so there was a short round. It was kind of like a whoop, and we were like, oh man. And so Sergeant B, he's got a canteen cup. He's still drinking his coffee, and he just yells, "Short!" He doesn't get down. We all get down behind the berm, right? Boom! I mean, it probably went off about 150 yards in front of us. It's supposed to go off 400 yards in front of us, right?
Oops.
And I'm right down on the berm, and I'm looking up at him. He's literally like right next to me. I look up, and he looks down, and there's this piece of shrapnel sticking out of his flak vest.
Holy
And
shit.
he's like, well, maybe it wasn't a waste to wear these this morning. Click. All right,
Yeah.
fire again.
Good thing it didn't go in his eye.
Right? Yeah, so Sergeant B was the kind of guy, like, when you're a young man, you have all these strategies of how you're going to be in the club and how you're going to handle yourself. And he says, we're like, oh, you take the biggest guy, take him at his knees, and like, no, man, you go to jail for that. It's assault and this and that, blah, blah, blah. This stupid stuff that young guys talked about back then. And Sergeant B's like, no, man, that's not what you do. And we're like, well, and here we're all in rapture because like he's gonna drop some crazy knowledge on us that's gonna save us one day, right?
Right. You got your
We're all
notebooks out. You're ready to write this down.
right. We're like 20 years old, and here the master's speaking, of bar brawls from here to the Philippines, right? We're gonna hear it. And he goes, that's not what you do. What you do is right before that fight's about to break off. He's like, you don't hit the one jawing, right? You want to grab the dude to his right or left and push off and smack the hell out of the guy behind him, because that's the guy that's going to run away. and you got to make sure he gets his.
Nice.
Now, fortunately, I never put this tactic into practice. You know, I've tried to live a very peaceful life. You know, so, but that was one of the mentors I had when I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh
So,
my god. I think this is a good, like, this is fascinating background to learn about you. And first, hi to everyone who's joining. This is such a good transition, I think, and stop me if I'm wrong, that like I joined Substack in earnest about a month or a month and a half ago, and
oh wow,
you were suggested to me quite quickly, and I was struck by like you have this like Marine Corps like grr, big guy energy, but then you open your mouth and you're just the wisdom of like a sage is coming out. And I'm hearing this now as we're chatting. If I could fangirl out a little, I'm like, I feel like we're meeting a famous person because you're like I've listened to so many of your videos in such a short time, and I very quickly was like, Lawrence, I'm watching this guy online, and he reminds me of you, only a little tougher.
Sorry, man.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, it's all good. She sent me. It's funny, like she sent me a video of yours, Lawrence. I
Yeah,
can't remember. It was. I
it was
think it was
called
after. Was it after
"Fuck
the
You
first one?
Democrats." I think it was
It,
just "Fuck You
it
Democrats."
was, yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Chuck Schumer,
Yeah.
caving on the CR and
Yeah, that's what
went
it. Because
nuts.
I remember when they caved, like when Schumer caved, right?
Yeah.
And it was the way he did it, and that's what got me so fired up.
Same.
Was
Yes.
it's like, bro, if you're gonna just if you're gonna cave and you have your reasons, okay, fine. I state that to the American people. I won't agree with you, but I'll carry it better, right?
Hmm.
But don't pull this tough guy routine. You don't have the votes. And then in 24 hours, they're like, well, we're going to shut the government down. Well, okay, we'll give you CR. Like, no, no, no,
It
no,
Yeah.
was the
man.
worst. That was
And I
the
think I did a live, yeah, I think that was my first live because I was so mad, and that's kind of what I do on Substack. I was like, I'm mad. I'm going to go live. I'm not going to plan this out. I'm just going to do it. So I went live and
yeah.
I think I went on a rant or something. And like Dana hit me up. She goes, "You got to see my friend Lawrence's video. It's right on." I was like, "Okay." And then the funny thing was, she goes, "You don't mind the cursing, right?" I was like, I'll get through it."
Right. Marines
Yeah.
are well
You
known
don't
for
mind the
their delicate sensibilities. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
but Frederick, seriously, there was so Lawrence and I have spent a lot of time. So first of all, for background, hi everybody. I'm Dana, Frederick, Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Lawrence and I, just for context, we have known each other since the fourth grade.
Okay.
So a long-standing friendship, and we have launched a new publication called genXy, and it is multi-topic. We talk about politics, we talk about music, we talk about feminism, we talk kind of everything from a distance. And it's not all Gen X people, because writ large, Gen X sucks, and we put Trump in the White House. But
Oh, we did. Yeah, we
we're
got.
like the minority of the minority generation, right? The Gen Xers with sense. And so Lawrence and I had spent a lot of time. I remember one time when you were in town, we were looking at like, the map from the North Pole down because I was like, why does he want Greenland and why does he want Canada? And you were like, take a look around, Russia, U.S., Canada, Greenland, like they got everything, and Europe is just a tiny little slice right here. And I think we had worked ourselves up into this frenzy, still are here. But the first thing I heard of yours, Frederick, that really like brought me immense comfort was when you talked about rearmament. It wasn't a live; it was a recorded video. When
Mm.
you spoke about rearmament and
European rearmament.
yeah, European rearmament and the investment that European countries were making, and it was this vision of yours of the future of like the beautiful financial or educational institutions that are there and the investment in technology and in engineering and support services that all of those industries would need, and how eventually the euro would be the primary currency, not the dollar. um, and I know we're all American, and it's not a great feeling to not root for the home team, but I took such comfort in that. It was like, you're right, Europe isn't doomed. We
No.
might be. You talked about the southern brain drain of like people go where innovation is and where technology is happening, creativity is happening, and I think that's a very Gen Z thing. Like we moved to big urban capitals back when we were young because that's where the artists were, that's where the tech hubs were. Like we helped build these cities, and yeah, we all left the tiny either rural or suburban areas, and that's happening on a what will happen on a global scale of like immigrants aren't going to feel welcome here. A lot of
Well,
Americans are going to feel welcome here. So I just wanted to say thank you for that amazing video.
yeah.
That was when I started following you and was just like, wow, you just talk sense.
I try to come at it with not a doom and gloom perspective, but sort of a realist perspective. And I have a master's in history, and just in studying
Wow.
history and kind of like historical movements, cultural movements, you you can't ever tell where any of these things are going to go. There are parallels you can draw. There are like things you can look at that might sort of like history doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes, though. I love that kind of saying.
Hold up,
And
down. That's beautiful. A word
but
nerd.
we've seen this like movement throughout, like I mean, even throughout 20th century America. Harlem became the focus in the 20s and 30s of Black Renaissance, right? So, like, and that was because workers from the South went up north, and it happened again in World War II. It happened. So there's always this kind of movement to wherever capital goes, wherever industry and energy, artists follow that movement. And the interesting thing about Europe is all of that's been there for a long time, but a lot of it's just human beings and institutions do things in patterns, whether it's good or it's beneficial. It's just kind of how they've done it, right? I mean, take like superhero movies. They've been making them for 20 years, and now that model's not working as much anymore, so they're trying to like literally go back to a model that was how they used to do it. And a lot of people say, "Well, I can't believe movies. How do these studios not know how to do this?" Well, that's because everybody that did it has long been retired, and so you have people that if they've been doing superhero movies for 20 years, so people that started, say, right out of college in the mailroom are now vice presidents, and that's literally all the time they've spent. So you look at the politicians over in Europe, everybody that's been in their political career, and we're talking 80 years, America has been the leader of the free world. The dollar has been the reserve currency. Their grandparents of these political leaders grew up in this world. And that's the way it's been. And so now they've reached a point where, thanks to Trump, that they're having to revision what is this new world going to look like. And the other thing, too, is yeah, you can have bold leadership if you have a populace that's willing to do that, right? Like Kamala Harris had some good plans that could have continued the Biden economy, but people said, "Nah, we'd rather go with something else." Unfortunately, but the interesting dynamic here is Trump is not only forcing leaders to reimagine the world, he's getting their populace behind him
Yes.
because he's able to rally. They're rallying against the bully, which is
Right.
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Common the powerful thing, right?
And so like the Senate just had a vote where it's like, okay, 4 senators went over on that side. It's got to go to the House, and like we're going to drop the Canadian tariffs. It's like, okay, fine. But here's the other thing that's interesting about people and institutions and countries. People can still feel raw about things, even if it might be there might not be forgive and forget from the Canadians. They might go, no, no, no.
I
Right.
don't think
You,
there will be, not for a long
no,
time. Like,
oh, not while Trump's in office.
We
And
we
even
only got to
then,
look at the Confederate South to look at the generational,
yep.
grudges that haven't been dropped. Like
There is it's a famous photo, and it's literally where I used to live in. It's on I-26 going into Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee, a massive Confederate flag that is I mean a huge one that's flying high, got a light spotlight on it, and it's on somebody's private land, and they paid for that to do that. And that's it. And it's in from where I used to be in East Tennessee. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that massive healthcare that's in Appalachia, where like, I mean, they have literally thousands of people come out, and it's almost like Doctors Without Borders. Like they show up with tents, and they do like, like dental care,
Oh, sure.
inoculations, all that stuff.
We have
Yeah.
that here.
That is
Yeah.
in that's
Yeah.
in East Tennessee where I used to organize and live. It's
Okay.
in those counties there. And we're talking like endemic levels of poverty. We're talking people that live below the poverty line or are on some kind of assistance. We're talking 30%. It's probably higher now, 35, 40%. And I remember when I was organizing in 2012, and you're looking at the statistics to kind of craft your message and get people around it. Um, Watching the poverty rate from 1996 to up to 2012, and it's going up 0.5% or 1% every year. You know,
I don't know if you've read Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. It's fiction, but it's those counties. It's exactly where you're talking about. She
Mhm.
features that exact thing, the big healthcare kind of caravan that comes into town so that everyone can get their stuff taken care of. And if you don't go, you don't get your tooth fixed until next year when they come around again.
Yep, that's exactly it. It's you've literally got people that come to that healthcare and they get it. It's once a year. They get it for free. Sometimes they'll camp out for a couple days. And I mean, you're talking endemic levels of poverty, and and honestly, that's kind of what I'm more afraid of for the U.S. because New York will always be New York.
Right.
Like like the Northeast, those major cities will always sort of be there. And but it's and I saw there's all these hot takes coming around now. I think Ezra Klein does this and all that. So they said, oh well, Democratic cities need to be more like Republicans because they have all these problems. Like, bro, they have all these problems because everybody goes there because that's where the economic activity is.
Absolutely.
You're not getting economic activity in rural nowhere Kansas. You're not like it's like they're interviewing these Trumpers that were federal employees that voted in West Virginia for for Trump, and then they've lost their jobs. Well, what a lot of people don't understand is like, I mean, if you remember Senator Robert Byrd, he was like 100 and he basically died in office.
Yeah.
I think it's the Coast Guard. The headquarters of the Coast Guard is in landlocked West Virginia.
Because he
Really?
delivered the pork, baby.
That's it.
Uh,
Because a lot of these rural areas, they survive on government funding. It is not economically. That's why you don't have FedEx in rural town Texas in the middle of nowhere. It's not economically conducive for them to operate there, which is why you don't want to privatize the post office.
Yep.
And so, just like the suburbs, rural areas survive on federal funds. Like there's no reason. I remember Rachel Maddow had a segment, and there was one. It was about the bridge in Alaska to that small town, and it was characterized as a boondoggle. This was like in '08 with Obama, and Sarah Palin was talking about it, but I think she ended up defending it, and then there was something else. But basically,
Oh, Sarah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Rachel
it
Maddow
keeps so
pointed out like we used to build things in this country.
Yeah.
Right? You build a bridge to this town because we can, because that's what we do. We're Americans.
Yeah.
You know, we connect the rural areas to the cities with roads or, hopefully mass transit, everything else, because we're Americans, because we can, because we have the capital to do it, you know. And somehow that's been perverted into, well, let's just give more money to billionaires. It's like, no, we build big things. Like, we do big things. Like healthcare for all. Why aren't we doing that?
We've tried trickle down economics for 40 years, and it has not worked any freaking time that
Nope.
we've done it.
It's been and here's the sad part is Republicans used to be the party of free trade. That was
Right.
their whole thing. And now the quotes going around of, you know, Ronald Reagan talking about Smoot Hawley, and it exacerbated the Great Depression. I was like, you literally are against Ronald Reagan now
Yeah.
as Republicans.
It it sorry, I'm writing back. Yes, I didn't want to interrupt, but
No, you're good. You're good.
uh
Lead
it
us,
is
Dana. What do you want to talk about next?
No,
well, I'm talking about the lunacy of this and how I live in a blue bubble and I very much like it that way, especially now because my blood pressure can't take it. But the little exposure I get to the other side is this sense of like it's not profitable, it's not making money. We have to get these things up and running. I have a family member who is sensible, but so very driven by that sort of thing. We were talking about energy, and they were like, "Oh, well, those companies they need to start making money too." There's a point there. That's always the answer. Where I'm like, there are so many things in this life. I'm hearing feedback on my end. Let me move the phone. There's so many things in this world that like if you're looking for it to make a profit, like the post office, you're looking at it wrong. It's not the proper form of government. And that to me is one of the like huge framing discussions that's just
yeah.
been wrecked. And to fix it, there just needs to be this sort of moral reversal of like not everything in the world should be laissez-faire capitalism because we're human beings and we're fallible and we get sick. We live in areas that yeah, we need our roads, we need mail to be able to reach us, we need infrastructure. And if Doge is doing anything, it's capitalizing on that message of like efficient and profitable is always the best path. And it's
Well,
simply not for so many services, or at least like that. It feels like that's like the simplified ethos that a lot of Republicans have bought into. I'm going to read what John says here. Can't get over the ignorance of the locals here. Yeah, well, yay Pacific Northwest, but John, I'm sorry. I do love Tillamook cheese, but
my mom likes their ice cream. So,
their
Yeah.
ice cream is
Some good ice
good.
cream.
yeah. I think so. The big issue is like because most of the media, there's this myth, there's a liberal media, and it's not. Like,
Oh God, no.
most, especially now, most media is owned by billionaires. It has a right wing slant. And so everything that we have is couched in this right wing framing,
Yeah,
right? So, I mean, think about this in your own lives, right? Is, you know, if you could you eat like unsalted legumes and like could you eat the goop from the matrix, that if it had, and just crush multivitamins and you get enough calories and protein to get you through the day, and if you ate that, or you live like a medieval peasant and you ate oatmeal and garlic, which is what they ate literally all the time, or you ate just beans, yeah, I mean you would save a lot of money,
I
right?
right.
do love
Do you,
beans.
do you
Yeah,
have to
like,
mix the oatmeal and the
well,
garlic, or
what.
can you eat them separately?
No, that's what they. Yeah, that's honestly what medieval English peasants ate. Is
Together?
like,
Together.
yes, oatmeal and garlic, because garlic's good for you. You
Mm,
know, and if you so, and keep in mind they're eating mostly like their oatmeal is kind of like muesli, so like it's literally gonna upset your stomach. That's why you have the garlic, because the garlic kind of helps your stomach and your digestion.
oh,
Um, so yeah, there's always a reason for people to do things. It may sound gross, but like they do it because it makes sense. But the thing about it is, man, is like, what kind of quality of life do you have? And that's the question we really have to ask ourselves is like, you know, I don't want, I want rural kids to get a good education in, you know, rural Oregon, rural Kansas, or in the South Side of Chicago. I want them to get the all same quality level
Right.
because I want a society of, you know, like the
Educated
of
people.
citizens that have a baseline foundation. Like we have 54% of Americans can only read up to a sixth grade level, you
Hmm.
know, and like we're falling behind in, you know, like math, science, you name it. And it's just because we've had this attack on education. We've had this attack on because everything, quote unquote, has to be profitable. The
Yeah.
problem with that is it never seems to apply to rich people. That metric doesn't ever seem to apply to them, right?
Right.
It's like, you know, oh, it's profitable. Yeah, it's profitable when you count all the government subsidies all these corporations get, which they count as profit, which is
Right.
our tax dollars, right?
Hmm.
It's like, oh, so you're profitable because we're holding you up with socialism.
100%.
So so why don't we take that money and put it towards the health of our people, right? And we'll get more of a like you want to talk about getting more of a return on that. So it's literally like what do we want to pay as a cost of being a citizen, right? You know, if you make money and a lot of times this gets couched of, well, we just, you know, a household would never run like this. It's like, man, don't give me that mess. It's like if people want to have Thai food once a week and they can afford it, they're going to have Thai food. They're going to figure a way out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So if we want universal health care, we're going to figure it out. If that's taxing billionaires, so be it. But that never gets into the question.
Right.
Oh, we got to cut services so we can balance the deficit. How about we repeal the tax cuts from the Trump regime in the
Bingo.
first term? And then how about this? How about we raise taxes on billionaires and the 0.01%, which is basically everybody above 40 million.
Right.
And what that's not fair. What do you mean that's not fair? They're getting the benefit from it, right? And
Yeah.
that's and but the problem is like every time you suggest that kind of stuff as a politician, you get slammed for it. Remember Obama got slammed for you didn't build
Hmm.
that?
Right.
And he was dead on right.
Yeah.
You didn't build the infrastructure that has
Right.
allowed you to thrive.
Right.
The American people's tax dollars built that. You didn't build you
Right.
yourself didn't build it, right?
Yes.
Right.
Or when he talked about, you know, he was dead on right with the in '08 when he and you know Hillary came after him in the primary when he said people cling to guns and religion when there's nothing left out there. And
Yep.
he's right too. I lived through that in East Tennessee. You
Yeah.
know, I had friends that'd be like, "Well, I bought me an AR-15, got it at a gun show for $2,000," and it's like, "Okay, well, what do you do with it?" Well, mostly just sits in my closet.
I did just shoot an AR-15 for the first time in my life a couple
They are
weeks
pretty
ago.
dope. They're fun, but that's it. They're fun to shoot,
They're
right?
fun.
Oh yeah, they're fun, but you know,
They serve
it,
no purpose in a
no,
civilized society. Yeah.
no, absolutely none, zero. And I'm perfectly fine if you want to have stuff like they do in Vegas, where it's like you go to a gun range, you give them your ID, you can shoot your AR-15 as much as you want, and go, "Boy, that's fun," and that's it.
Right.
And they're locked up. Do I think Cletus should have one? No, absolutely not.
Wait, Cletus from The Simpsons? Because
That's exactly.
Honestly, he's got too many kids to afford an AR-15.
Yeah.
He's got too many. But the problem we have a lot of times is this framing, right? So they frame these things as in like, well, we've got to cut government spending. Where are we going to cut? And so you're so like because you notice this happens with Democrats. Anytime we say something, they always go with, well, it's also good for the economy, right? So we even use right wing language
Oh
right.
yeah.
when we don't need to. Instead of saying healthcare's right. Well, how are you going to pay for it? We're going to find a way, but it's a right.
Well, and to this point, I think everyone forgets the government exists to do things that corporations and individuals can't do. Like,
Yes.
the government can literally print money. Not that that's
Mhm.
a good idea from an inflationary perspective, but like, if we need to fund healthcare, if we need to fund education, public education across this country, the government exists to be able to provide those kinds of resources where a corporation can't or wouldn't.
Right. And it's the government. The government can do things like, we're going to go to the moon. The Soviets have beat us. We have to, like, we can't let this stand. So, like, we are going to have a moonshot. And in 5 years, we're going to the moon. JFK lays it down. Boom. That's where we're going. That's the big, like, we used to solve big problems in this country,
Yeah.
right? And now it's like we have rich men who are wealthier than they've ever been telling us, oh, we got to cut Meals on Wheels for seniors.
Right.
Criminal.
Or low
What?
income heating and air conditioning costs from the FDA. The heating assistance that gets provided to low income families got cut completely.
Exactly. And it's like you get this thing where it's like, so you mean to tell me we are in the most affluent society in human history, and yet we can't afford all these things for the most vulnerable in our population? Man, I ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm in the drawer. You know, come on,
I
man.
always thought that the
Yeah.
healthcare question, and I am no politician, nor am I a macro
Dana,
economist
can
or
I
anything
interrupt
like
for just
that.
1 second?
Yeah.
I do want to point out that it's 7:38 or it's 38 after, and we haven't talked about tariffs or what happened today at all yet.
Oh
So
my God, we got to talk about that. Okay,
It's real easy.
wrap my
It's
one
real
thing up
easy.
very.
It's real easy. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Tariffs are taxes.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you gotta say. And when anybody asks you that, when they come up with this BS, you say tariffs or taxes. It is the law. Don't let them bull jive you, man.
yeah,
It is the largest tax hike in U.S. history. There's one that was a little less, and you might guess why we did it. It happened in 1942. What was going on in 1942 that we had to
I
hike
can't
taxes
remember.
up? Hmm.
Fighting fascism on a global scale,
Yeah, we were
maybe.
fighting a two-front war, world war. And what's this one for? Oh, right. It's to give billionaires yet another tax cut. Not,
Oh,
not, not
yeah,
keep the one they got now,
right.
to give them another one
More.
on top of it. You know, while we're cutting health and human services, we're cutting HIV prevention, we're cutting domestic
Mm.
violence, women's clinics, Meals on Wheels, Alzheimer's, all
Public
these things.
education. Don't forget public
Oh,
education. I mean, come
Right.
right.
on.
Cancer research. Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
on and on.
This is
So,
tied into what I was going to say before, which is I always thought about public, like that, having healthcare as a human right and provided by the government should be framed as national security, because eh, as much as billionaires slash very wealthy people like to think they don't, it's not my problem if they don't have this. I'm like, I am the least religious person out there, but the older I get, the more I'm like, we are our brother's keepers. And
mhm.
if you're on the bus and 30% of the people on the bus like can't afford to go to the doctor, don't have any, forget inoculations now, but they haven't been getting their vaccines, and they have walking pneumonia, like you're going to have it too, because
Mhm.
we're breathing the same air. We are all at the end of the day organisms.
Yeah.
And from a national security perspective, we need to take care of the health of others.
Education is national security. The
Absolutely.
military, the biggest problem they've got towards future proofing is that we don't have people smart enough to join the 21st century military who can fight the kind of wars that we're going to end up fighting. Well, I mean, Trump might get us into.
here's here's a rat, like, and this is going to make me sound like a radical, but it shouldn't.
Do it.
And it's
Do
and
Go
it.
it's
on.
because of our framing, right? So if I said, hey Fred, if you asked me, you say, hey Fred, what do you think is should be a right? I was like, okay, right to vote, right?
Hmm.
Body autonomy,
Absolutely.
education, all as high as you can go,
Yep.
right? Food security, housing, healthcare. And so if I listed all those, the first label I'm going to get is, well, you're a socialist.
Right.
Okay, let's set that aside because, whatever. Why should any of that not jive with capitalism? I'm not talking about the system of business, right? I'm
Right.
talking about Okay, how do you solve the homeless problem? You get people off the street, right? You feed them. It's like, well, that's going to cost money. Oh, okay, it's going to cost money. So then we spend our taxes on it because it's important to us. You know,
Yes.
Yep.
And I
that's
think,
it.
yeah,
We
there
we
needs to be a framing of like X%, and it's small, but it is a percent of our tax dollars go to help the most vulnerable
because
because it's the
because
right thing to do.
if we came up to if we're on the town, right, and you say, hey man, we got some homeless people, we want to take care of them, we want to make sure everything's good. It's like, can y'all kick in $10? And it's like, yeah, we'll kick in $10. Well, Fred, you make 4 or 5 times what everybody else makes. Can you kick in $35?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Okay. How would you feel if I could? Well, everybody else doing $10. Why should I have to do 35? That's not fair. Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, man, but you've benefited the most out of this town from
Right.
us. Why can't you kick in a little more? We're talking about people that literally, can't function, that need help. Norway has done this. Norway has basically tackled their homelessness head on and built them apartments, got them mental health services, drug rehabilitation, alcoholic rehabilitation, job training, education, you name it. And they're basically what they found overwhelmingly. I mean, we're talking like 80, 85%. All these people want a job. They want to get back out and be self-sufficient and have, because there's pride and dignity that comes along with it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so if we're talking about that level of effectiveness, why aren't we doing that here with all the things we have? And the reason we're not is, you ask yourself, it's by design. Because again, everything that's presented to us is like, what's got to be good for the economy? It's got to be good for security. It's got to be, and there's fine if it is, right? It's fine if that is too, right?
Hmm.
But we all have to talk like, it's got to be profitable. It's got to be this. No, man, it's got to be because it's the right thing.
Absolutely.
You
And it
know,
is national security. Like, this is a
yeah.
very near and dear to my heart. I live in Seattle, and we have a pretty big homeless population here, um, and have tried to face the issue, and nothing ever seems to stick. But it's like people come here because it's
Mhm.
the liberal cities are more accommodating, right? Um, and so to me, it's always been like a national security, or it's a national issue because you can't like snuff it out city by city because people move. I forgot what the statistic was of how many of the unhoused people in Seattle are not from here, but it's high because we're more tolerant. So to
There's
me,
more there's more
it,
resources for them to get a hold of, like, and you've got more economic activity. You've got, more things for them to, grab a hold. Like you said, to your point, right? There's more things for them to grab a hold of. They're not going to get rousted. Like, you see some of this ghoulish architecture, this anti-homeless architecture. It's like,
I
man, why
hate
don't you
it.
spend the money just like helping them out? You
Yeah.
know, there's all kinds of, but that's the thing, is like, there's the other thing too, is we've made it to where cities are almost uninhabitable for people that
oh, absolutely.
work in
Yeah.
them, which is crazy.
This
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
huge problem that the blue dot urban, liberal hubs are so unaffordable now. The only reason I'm here is I've been here a long time. Are you guys hearing feedback? Because I'm really hearing a lot from me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I don't know why that's happening, but um, if these are we're like sanctuary cities for queer people, right? We for women. I mean, we have protections here, but good luck living here if you didn't, buy 20 years ago like I did. Like, it's um prohibitive. And I feel like 10 hours.
Oh no, Dana, you're cutting out. You're
I am
cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting out. No,
okay.
no, you're not pixelated. We just can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Um,
I heard a oh. There.
no,
Yeah, it's funny because like LA is facing a similar problem,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And this is before the fires. Like, it used to be the whole thing with Hollywood was that's where you would go to make movies. It was sort of like Hollywood was Hollywood. Well, now, so many other states and even worldwide offer film incentives. And like a lot of movies now, like are filmed in South Africa, they're filmed in Thailand, they're filmed, and Trump's tariffs are only going to exacerbate this problem.
Yep.
And it's gotten prohibitively expensive to film in LA. And so a lot of people, even stuff that uh, shameless plug, my company, Rogue Four Films, we're looking at filming like in New Mexico or West Virginia or even in like Illinois that has really good tax breaks for filmmakers. That's why Atlanta and Georgia has like they have their own little like that kind of thing is their own film industry.
Right.
I mean,
They
so
have
much
an
it's been
office, like the city has an office of film, whatever, where they bring
right.
in companies and provide tax breaks. And yeah,
Huge. And so but the problem that's going to affect is you have all these people that work in the studios. You're talking crew, you're talking writers, staff people that aren't like big Hollywood, like, because everyone thinks, oh, it's the Hollywood actors that make millions of dollars. It's like, no, it's just people that maybe are for LA are working class people, and they're going from gig to gig to gig, and they're losing out because because part of the tax incentive is you hire local in Thailand, or you hire local in South Africa, or you hire local in Georgia. And so even if these people wanted to, they can't just go work on a film that
right.
goes and and fly out there and they're shut out. So it's you're seeing I get the frustration in the cities as someone who's lived there. I lived in LA for like 4 or 5 years, and it's we're not addressing that issue, like slapping, and that's the problem with like Trump is like it's this notion of this there's an easy fix that somehow no one's looking at there. It's going to be bigly, it's going to be beautiful, we're going to fix it.
La, la, la,
you
la.
know it's like, and like with these tariffs, right? And they keep trying to sell they keep trying to sell it on something else where it's like, oh, well, this will get other countries to come and negotiate with us. Okay, let's unpack that, right?
Right.
There's differences like effective tax rates because you've got all kinds of different, like, for import duties and this and that. So the effective tax rate for American goods going into Germany and Japan is roughly about 2%. And you just slapped a 20% tariff on them. How the hell are you going to negotiate with that when it's your effective rate is 2% and you just slapped a 20% tariff on them? You don't negotiate with that. You do what Macron's doing and you say, okay, well, we're going to stop foreign investment. We're going to invest over here, and
Yep.
we're going to have to create these different um, trade things with trade routes, whatever, like different systems. Because, like, I did a piece on this a while back where I kind of liken it to a family business, but this is what exactly happened to Iowa farmers, which I'm shocked they voted for Trump again. So soybeans were a big part; they're a huge part of the Asian diet, right? Because that's tofu.
Yep.
And China buys an obscene amount, or they used to, with soybeans. And Smithfield pork, for those of you who don't know, is majorly owned by China
Yep.
because the part of the Chinese diet is pork. It's a huge staple in their diet. And so when Trump slapped that tariff on China, and they said, okay, well, we're going to have to go somewhere else. If you remember around that time, I think it was Bolsonaro was his name in Brazil, and they started burning
Right.
a bunch of. They were clear cutting and burning the rainforest, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, the environment! You're gonna kill us all!" It's like, okay, but the reason they were doing that is they were clear cutting to grow soybean crops to take the China trade. That was a direct reaction, and they still have it because once those companies, those Chinese companies, have like, okay, well, we've got this, we've got that. And then America comes back, well, we'll give you the same rate that they're giving you. It's like, but I'm already doing business with them.
Yeah, too late.
Why would I come back? You know? And so that's why they bought Smithfield, is like, okay, we're going to get the pork. You know, not going to let you screw us again. But see, since he slapped all these tariffs, they're not going to renegotiate because there's not much room to wiggle out and negotiate. They're gonna go, he's nuts. He's an unreliable actor. We're going to start looking towards other things.
Yeah.
And Canada is in a prime position to
Absolutely.
benefit from this
Yep.
because of all their natural resources. Like, that's what people don't understand is like with the this is what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Besides the stock market crash, and if that happens, I don't know if it will. I'm not a Svengali with that. Pensions, everything else. But let's just say for argument's sake, that this commerce secretary, this lightweight, is the one who gave Trump this idea,
Yeah.
and he's right. And we're going to reset. It's going to be hard, but we're somehow going to be internally recreate our economy. Your life will fundamentally change. It will
For the worse.
fundamentally change. There's no way around it. If you ever grew up with your parents or grandparents talking about seasonal vegetables and seasonal fruit, that's a
Yep.
thing again. Because a lot of us have gotten spoiled, but it's like you get all these tropical citrus fruits from all over the world all year round, no matter when or what, you can get them. Nope. That's going to be a thing of the past. Or if you do get them, they're going to be a luxury item because they're going to
Right.
cost a lot of money,
Or
right?
come on, big coffee, right? Coffee and
Right.
chocolate are going to
Oh
be
my God.
disastrously impacted.
This is going to be a disaster for Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, and you look at so like even consumer electronics, which are all made overseas. So you're gonna build the factories to build all this stuff up again. You're gonna build, like, that's gonna take years. And is
2
the
to 5
government
years at
gonna
least to build a factory, right?
absolutely? And is the government gonna subsidize these companies with our tax dollars to lure them over this tariff wall?
Right.
No. And we honestly, like, GDP wise, we produce about 25% of the raw materials that we need for what we purchase in terms of household goods, groceries, automobiles, like you name it, that things that keep our economy where they are now. So that's about a quarter
Yep.
of raw materials. Let's say somehow, even if you stripped out all the national parks, that you get the wood, everything else. I mean, you clear cut them, everything you could get. You get maybe a third. Okay, I'll even be generous and go insane. Let's say half. You still got to make up that other half if you want to maintain what your life standard of living is now.
Yep.
We don't make consumer electronics here. We haven't for 40 years.
Right. There's no such thing as an American made TV.
No, Zenith is long gone, and
Right.
it's not coming
Magnavox
back.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, every so the era of cheap ultra HD 4K blah blah blah, all that's going.
Bye.
That you're looking at TVs that are going to cost like at least $1,000 or more. You're talking like, you think American cars that are built more for expense and luxury, right? Cheap foreign cars are gone.
Yeah.
Our
Let me.
life, even if this goes well, right? Even if this goes the best it could possibly do, and they're right eventually, because that's what they're selling us now. Oh, eventually it'll work out. It's going to be amazing. Just
Right.
believe us. Just trust us. Your life is going to fundamentally change. Like,
Yep.
you will not have the things that you have now are going to be luxuries. Because if you look at how people used to live in the 50s and 60s, they didn't have fresh fruit all the time. Why do you think canned peaches were a thing?
Right.
You know, like, why do you think canned meat was a thing?
Right. Or why stand their jams and
Yeah,
All right. I
like,
got a question. It's 56 minutes after the hour.
Oh yeah.
Based on everything you've just said, Frederick, what is the Gen X song that applies to this moment in time?
Oh my God. Like there's so many. I mean, I threw one out today, which was asked by the Smiths, you know.
My
But
favorite's Happy.
yeah, because if it's not love, it's gonna be the bomb that brings us together, you know.
Yeah,
The other one was like REM's
End of the
It's
World.
the End of the World as we know it. Um,
absolutely.
but I think if we're so here's the thing. I'm like 90s Gen X, right? Because I was a teenager. I'm born in 77, so I'm like a teenager in the 90s, right? Like I think I was 18 in 95. So for me, if I'm picking any Gen X like our generation song, and this is also because of corporate advertising, it's gonna have to be from the Cranberries.
Oh,
Like,
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna have to be from the Cranberries, and it's like,
oh,
you know, I want to say
Zombie.
probably maybe Linger, like Linger might be,
Nice.
or if you go with like really like it's gonna be Four Non Blondes, you know, their massive hit, you know,
Lawrence
it's
knows
like what's going on. That would probably fit like right, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I scream at the top of my lungs, "What's going on?" That definitely fits the moment,
it
you
does.
know.
I with a
Yeah.
passion, but I get it. It's appropriate, and I will take.
Oh, Dana, you're cutting out again.
Ah!
I somehow don't think like 80s songs are Gen X, even though they are, because Gen X goes back to like what I think,
65.
yeah, 65. So they
Yeah.
would have been
So
20 in 85 in the 80s,
yeah.
right? So they would have been their late teens and 20. So absolutely 80 songs fit Gen X. But for
They,
whatever reason, I think it's because it's the what do they call them? Like the yuppie generation or whatever. And I think that's just the boomers.
the boomers. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, baby boomers get,
Yeah,
you know, they get so much. You know, no offense to any baby boomers in here, we love you. You
cute.
know, but I always consider like the '80s as sort of like not Gen X, even though it is. And I
See,
think that's
we
just
were born
my
in '70, so
yeah.
for
So
us,
yeah,
the '80s is absolutely Gen X.
right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so like, you know, but it's funny because I listen to more I'd say more of my musical taste is very much like in the baby boomer sort of realm. Like
Okay.
soul music, James Brown.
Nice.
Um and I think that's just cuz like I got plopped in front of the TV in the 80s and I didn't watch kid shows. I watched R-rated movies with my dad.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, it's fine. He can watch war movies. So all the Vietnam movies that were in the 80s, I watched all those. Like I'm 7 years old or 10,
Right.
you
Watching
know.
Apocalypse Now and
Yeah.
Dana, what about you? What's your song for today?
for today. Well, now am I cutting out for?
No,
You
you're
still
fine.
are, but we'll suffer through.
I did. We've been talking about this a lot, Rick, of like what song a Gen X song, and to me, it has something that speaks to people in a way it doesn't resonate with, like Nirvana's Teen Spirit came to evergreen. Everybody loves that song. That
Oh
song.
yeah.
So the last time I said Birdhouse, this time I'm gonna go. Um, Video killed the rain star because I feel like that's so iconic. Although that's I was very young when it came out, it's still a song that continues and MTV generation. It's kind of about um, coming late and moving on to a new era. Which is a big theme with that New York Times about the week of
Yeah.
uh, or are we radio? Next can do both.
Here's the thing, Dana and I talk so much that I know exactly what she said for everything. I'm not sure anyone else got it. But here's
Great.
my song, okay? This just popped into my head. Jesus Jones, Right Here, Right Now.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Because what we're experiencing right now is the opposite of every feeling that I had from that song, right? Like that song was like, fuck yeah, communism fell. The future's our oyster. Yes. And
Yes.
yeah, that's pretty much the exact opposite of how I feel right now. So there you
God,
go.
wasn't it though? Yeah. Like I mean, I it's Obama kind of reignited a little bit of that hope, right? Like it's like, oh, we're going back to that, and then Trump came along and just, dear God, and I mean that is the tough part, and we absolutely appreciate baby boomers, Trudy. Like, and here's the thing: you go into any organizing, any uh county party, you go into anything that's like it's full of baby boomers. Like overwhelmingly, when I've organized or I've knocked on doors, I've volunteered. It's baby boomers are like they care, you know. So yeah. Like I'm hoping that we can get a break for Gen Z, and we can get them out there and motivated and organizing.
I literally
Yeah,
just heard a billion millennials scream that you had forgotten to include them.
that's okay. It's like, here's what you do, millennials. If I forgot you, go to Dana and Lawrence and my Substacks. Go to every single article we have, click on them, and leave a nasty comment.
Yeah,
But you got to click on them all, and
right.
you got to comment on them all, and then restack every single one and say, "I can't believe these guys." So restack them. You got to make sure you restack them and tell everybody we're nasty. That's my solution. Like
Yeah.
that will teach me a lesson.
My gosh. Y'all
I
are
don't know how this is supposed to work. I don't know if we're supposed to cut off officially at like 8 o'clock or whatever. I think we're running over, and that's okay. But Frederic, big coffee, man. This has been so much fun getting to know you and
Yeah,
talk to you.
we should do it again.
Absolutely, we
for
would love it.
because I want to
Yeah.
talk about Gen Z men and full campaign to try to right that wrong about feminism and stories you posted. But another time, thanks to
Yeah,
everyone.
I mean, yeah, whenever, like we could talk about it, my sister's going through it. She's been doing the online dating thing for 2 years. And
I sent
you
her
know,
back dating
well,
message.
yeah, this she it was funny because like she went through a bad one, and she was like, we were walking the dog, and she's like, you know, I can't believe it, blah blah. I said, why don't you write about it? And she says, I
I love.
should. I was like, yeah, you should. Like,
I
write
there.
about
I
it.
know this place where you could do it.
Yeah, you got a Substack. I was like, go ahead, write about it. You probably get some women to be like, man, yeah, And I was like, and look, I don't get it, ladies. I don't understand it. I came from a different era. I don't understand these dudes, man. Even my age, I don't get it. You know,
I write
it's
about. It is. It's a lot.
honestly, like that's the thing. Like I may say, well, according to blah 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 blah, and I might have an answer for something, and I might even sound smart on that front. I have no freaking idea. I just don't, because I'm like, how you going? Like, I don't understand the love bombing. I don't understand all these promises. Like, it's like, bruh, just why? You're wasting your time and her time. Like, what's the point? You know? Like, just I mean, just like just I don't get it. You know,
I think this is the topic of our next conversation, y'all. It's y'all can talk
there it
about
is.
straight
But
dating, and then every time it gets too stuck, I'll jump in with some gay dating bullshit that'll blow your minds. And just
right, wait, man. I tell you, it's like, man, it's everybody's got it tough. That's what I found out. Gay folks got it tough. Everybody's got it tough. I mean, different ways, But I'm just like, man, I don't understand straight men even my age. I don't understand it. I don't get it. You know.
here's the thing, man. I don't get it either. Like, I look at straight men, and I'm like, yeah, it's so easy right now, dude. Just show up and be nice, and
The bar is literally set so low.
so low.
So
There,
low. I
there's
I I cannot tell you, man. I'll write something,
yeah,
and I'm not saying this as a flex. I'm really not.
yeah.
I'll write something. It breaks my heart. Is like I'll get a direct message from a woman, and she'll say how much my writing has touched her, and she'll be like, "I've never heard a man, like a straight man, speak like you." And I'm like, I, it baffles me because I'm like, how? How? I'm not doing anything special, man. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. It's just kindness. That's it. That's all it is. And so I look, you know, I mean, I hear some of the stories from my sister or even, you know, girlfriends I got, you know, that are friends and they're dating. And I go, what the hell happened to just courtesy?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
dead.
forget opening doors and opening the car doors for them and showing up with the flower and, you know, like putting on a suit and a tie. I mean, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just like, just bare minimum, like, hey, how you doing? Like, I told you I'd pick you up at 7. I'm here. I'm a little late. I'm sorry. It's 7:15.
I know.
And
Yeah.
I texted you before, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm running a little late. Traffic got ahead of me.
Yeah.
You know, da da da.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we need to get together a posse of, you know, maybe Gen X and Boomer dudes to just take a baseball bat to Andrew Tate, and, you know, the Tate brothers and Joe Rogan and all of those absolute fart sniffing idiots who are corrupting the minds of younger generations. I just don't even get it.
I don't either, man. And it's like it's like they're taking you.
Dana has to go. She's
You gotta
literally
go.
waving in the background. She's like, I gotta go.
All right, we could go. All right, next time we'll talk about dating and all this other stuff. Everybody,
I
thank
love
you.
it. I love it. This was great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
let's do it again. Gen
Sounds
XC.
good, man. Great
All
talking to
right.
you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye bye.
Or you mean bye.
Bye.